Hi, good morning, and welcome to Seek Sustainable Japan. I'm glad you could join us live this morning. So nice to see you. We already have Natasha in the chat room. Thank you so much for joining. Now we have the fabulous Ali Hongo today. Thank you so much for joining, Ali.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, JJ. I love the podcast. I'm so honored to be here.
Oh, it's fabulous. And I was at your amazing award ceremony for Japan Travel Awards, and I realized it has been years since you came on the show. So it's wonderful to catch up. Thanks so much for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Now, when we talked last time, it was really just at the start of Shiitake Creative, your business, and Japan Travel Awards in 2021. We just had the award ceremony. It was the fourth annual one. Oh my gosh. You must have seen so many changes over the years, right?
Right. Excuse the cat. He may pop up at some point. Yes, that's right. I can't believe it's already been a couple of years since we last spoke, and really the last time when we saw each other on the show, we were really at the very initial stages of starting the business and starting the Japan Travel Awards. And yeah, as you said, like so much has changed over the past 3 4 years. Yes.
But you have a really long story. Let's talk a little bit about you and your backstory. So, you originally came to Japan in high school. Is that right?
Yes, I came to Japan when I was 15 with my family. We moved here because my stepfather was Japanese. Sorry, the cat's good.
Hello, kitty. No, no, we're fine. That's a magic of being live. No worries.
um, we came when I was 15, and then I was enrolled in a Japanese public high school, and that's when really everything started. I came here with zero Japanese at the age of 15, when all you care about is your friends back home, and I'm not sure I really enjoyed being here at the beginning. But like after some time, I got used to the life here in Japan, and yeah, I stayed. It's been now what, 23 4 years.
Amazing. Now, if I'm going to show your website here, alihongo.com, you ended up getting 2 degrees in Japan. So, graduated from high school, and then you got an undergrad in communications, and then
Yes,
a master's in media studies. Is that right?
yes, that's correct. So I went to Temple University, the Japan campus, and I studied international affairs. And I took a lot of communication classes as well. And then after that, I took a year off to work a little bit and see what it's like to work in Japan. And then after that, I went to grad school and studied media studies and majored in communications.
Yeah, beautiful. You have this amazing website, alihongo.com, and you've got 4 categories. You've got so many wonderful interviews: Japan lifestyle, travel and food, Japanese news and opinion, more politics focused, all the different work and all the different media you've worked with. Do you have a favorite? Which topic you like to write about or you like to focus on?
Right. Um, I really enjoy interviewing people. And you're so amazing talking to people, but I prefer writing. So I really love to share people's stories and just sitting down with people and just hearing how they've come to be who they are, and their journey. And that's really the best. I'm sorry. He's having a moment.
Oh my gosh. I hope your house is okay. You've interviewed some amazing people, like some
Right.
very famous, very influential people, and I see the parallels, for the focus when you're, recommending places for the Japan Travel Awards, you go and check them. You're also adding interviews in this year, I noticed for the judges, we had interviews to watch with each of the top people. Um,
Right.
Tell us a little bit about these initial famous people you interviewed, though.
So one of them was Yumi Katsura. Sadly, she passed away last year. She's one of the most famous bridal fashion designers in Japan. We sat down a couple of years ago and talked about, how she started the bridal industry in Japan, and her story was just so amazing. That was one of my favorite interviews ever. She was so gentle, so well spoken, so soft, despite all her credentials and just amazing portfolio. She was really lovely. Then we had Mr. Hasebe, the mayor of Shibuya, here, and also the one you have before is w- okay. This is Kataoka-san from the Mori Art Museum in Roppongi in Tokyo. She's the first female director of the museum. She was also amazing, so easy to talk to, amazing story, and just it was really great to see how she was really trying to work. It was right in the COVID times when I interviewed her, and she was struggling a lot because no one was allowed to go to museums, right? But she tried to create some digital platforms for people to still see art during those difficult times. She was amazing, fascinating to talk to. um, yeah. This is the two people who started the Black Lives Matter movement here in Japan. Two fascinating individuals, and they did so much to tell the story of Black Lives Matter here in Japan, because a lot of people didn't really understand it. And then Naoko Yamasaki, one of the very few female astronauts. Um, she's as well, like, just so amazing, so down to earth. No pun intended, but like so easy to talk to, and so gentle, and just she always takes the time to just sit down and really guide you through her story. And she has an amazing story of how she ended up in space. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, so many interesting people, and the focus on diversity, inclusion, and these are so key for the Japan Travel Awards, and also how you run Shiitake Creative, right? Like your own team is
Exactly.
also showing how you can represent and how you can have such high quality and value from having a more diverse and inclusive team, right?
Right, right. That's really important for us. We all come from different, really, backgrounds, and we think that that's a starting point. Diversity is really important because we really think that, if you always mingle with the same people that like yourself, like, you end up with the same results ever. So it's really important to interact with people who have different views, who come from different backgrounds, have different stories. That's really what makes you create new things, I think. So that's extremely important for us.
Now, now I have a noisy cat. This is Gary, everybody. Gary is also noisy this morning. Something about the weather. I don't know what's going on, Ali. Um, but can you introduce your team a little bit? So
Right. So these are Tiana and Jake. Jake is our art director. He's from the Philippines and has lived in Japan for a while. Tiana is from, originally, her parents are from Greece, but she was born and raised in Australia. She's our graphic designer. Also moved to Japan a couple of years ago. They're amazing, amazing, talented people. We have Rico here, who is from, her mom is from Japan, her dad is from the US. She has lived in Hawaii and in Japan. She's completely bilingual, very talented. She's our Gen Z um, member of the team, who always, makes sure that I stay on track with the latest trends. And Yuri, she's our Japanese copywriter, also extremely talented, and she takes care of all the Japanese writing. And the most recent addition to our team is Brooke. She's from Australia, but she moved here as a student some years ago, and now she lives in Chiba with her partner, and she's settling here in Japan. She's our editorial assistant, and that's me. And Seiya, my husband, and also the CEO of the company. We founded a company together.
and then not pictured here, but your son is also an important part of the team, right?
Yes, he knows all the secrets.
Yeah.
He knows everything.
And I heard you say he gives you advice on your language ability.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he it's funny. He's just 5 years old, but sometimes I forget that he's just 5 years old, and I consult him about a lot of different things. Like something didn't go well at work, and I was like, this happened. What do you think? And he's like, okay, tell me everything. And then, he corrects my Japanese now and my singing. We go to karaoke. Sometimes he sings way better than I do, and he's correct to correct me. So.
Because he goes on all the Japan Travel Awards checks with you, especially if it's a family-friendly check.
Exactly.
So that's really an important part as parents, to show which places are very welcoming. Family travel is
Exactly.
something we want to create more value in Japan, right?
Definitely. And Japan is a very kid friendly country. You have all these public restrooms where you can, change diapers, and you can warm your formula, and all these facilities are just impeccable. But when it comes to traveling with kids, surprisingly, there are not so many places where both the parents and the kid can enjoy at the same time, which I was actually quite surprised to find out after he was born and experienced this in the first place. So that's why we try to bring him along to family friendly places, because that's how you actually experience. If he's not there, we don't get to see whether you can, now he's no longer moving around in the stroller, but when he was younger, you see like whether it's easy, the place is easy to push a stroller, or how the staff connect with the kid, how they can actually, accommodate the children, and this kind of stuff. Unless we bring him, we can't really see properly, so sometimes we make sure to bring him along, which is not always easy, but but
No,
it's
but
helpful.
often it also intersects with accessibility,
Exactly.
right? Like when you need to use a stroller, if it's only stairs, that's an issue, right?
Exactly. So yeah, he's also helping us, when we go to accessible places, to really see whether it's really accessible. As you said, if it's just stairs, it's difficult to move with a stroller, or yeah, just he helps a lot.
I was on the bus yesterday going into town, and I was so grateful to see someone in a wheelchair. And the bus driver got off and put down the ramp and got him in and secured him before he got going. And I was like, great. We need to see more of that. Like, of course, people in wheelchairs or using strollers, you should be able to go everywhere. But I feel like Japan is still kind
Mhm.
of struggling with accessibility. And I know you work a lot with one of the judges, Josh
Yes.
Grisdell, who's
Mhm.
amazing,
Mhm.
and Accessible Japan, right?
Right. Yes. Japan, I think, in terms of infrastructure, is quite advanced, in comparison to other countries, especially in bigger cities. If you have, I think there's a law, and don't quote me on the exact numbers, but if there's like uh, over a certain number of people using that station, it has to be barrier free. It has to have an elevator, and it has to have a ramp if people need it. So these things are really in place in a lot of bigger cities. Um, but what is missing is that, Japan's welfare um, section is different from tourism section. So these two government eh, bureaus are not really linking with each other to create like to benefit from each other. So a lot of times we don't see so many tourism destinations that are really focusing on accessibility, which is, I think, the next step for Japan to really improve on that, because they already have quite a solid base. It's just a matter of showing it and really being proud of it, and not only functioning as a welfare um, infrastructure that they have established, but something that people can just really benefit on a day-to-day basis. So I think that's going to come soon.
Yeah, which is so important because accessibility issues helps everyone. If you hurt your leg, I've had guests who are on crutches, that helps them.
Exactly.
It helps people with strollers, it helps people with wheelchairs, it helps elderly people,
Exactly.
who are walking with a cane. So it really helps all your guests, right?
Exactly. And also, even, sometimes people who are carrying, even foreigners carrying luggage, heavy luggage, if there is a ramp, for example, or something that can help them move the luggage, or even, services that bring your things to your home. It helps if there is accessible infrastructure installed. It really benefits everyone. There's no downside to it.
Yeah, absolutely. A great question from Natasha. Are there places around Japan did you find which were comfortable for breastfeeding or feeding your baby?
Um, so a lot of the places that we travel to, I think a lot of those places are smaller, and they're not confined by, like, social norms so much. I think in Japan it's still not so easy to breastfeed in public. A lot of people, shy away just in, like, things, just showing your body in general. um so I think we have a long way to go to, but the places that we're visiting, um they're quite flexible. We if you ask for, like, can I breastfeed here, or can you help me to do this, they will always um find a way to assist you, in that.
I see a lot of mothers with the cape,
Yes.
right? So covering up when you're breastfeeding, and I know that's popular in other areas. I did that as well.
Mhm.
But more and more in like malls and things, I'm seeing a feeding
Yeah.
room, so you can go and feed your baby,
Yes.
which is
Mhm.
it's lovely to see as part of the like
Mhm.
changing room, but also
Yeah.
feeding room. Like it's really nice to see.
Definitely, yes. In most shopping malls, I think around our area as well, they have, like, specific breastfeeding and also feeding places where you can go and warm up your formula or breastfeed, or just sit in quiet and just make sure your kid is fine and you're fine. Yeah, that's really wonderful.
That's awesome. Now, how did the Japan Travel Awards? How did you kind of start with the idea to do an awards, to go out and check places, to do a awards ceremony? Like, where did this all start? Where did it come from?
Right. So that's a long story. But so it really stems out from our idea of, so we started Shiitake Creative, which is a creative agency, and most of our work is involved in promoting Japan to overseas tourists. So we used to work in English media. For before starting Shiitake Creative, we used to work, the founding members used to work at several English media in Japan. And at the time, a lot of our work involved writing and promoting different destinations in Japan. But the way media works is, they come with the final product and say, please share the story, please promote it. And as media, we have very little um, a chance to talk about the actual product, and a lot of the times it wasn't great to promote, when we felt like only if they did this, and if they, brushed up this side of the destination, it would have been easier to promote to our readers. um, so that's the very initial stage, and then we founded Shiitake Creative because we wanted to get a little bit more involved with shaping up the actual product before we promote it. So consulting with destinations and telling them, this is probably the right way to for this audience, and we wanted to get a little bit more involved into this consulting process. And then we started Shiitake Creative in the early months of 2001. And then we were, like, just sitting down and talking about, like, what's a good way um, to change the way Japan promotes its destinations to overseas visitors. Um, and the idea was that really Japan needs to work on how it includes diversity and inclusion, and all these elements were missing, and we knew that that's an issue. So we wanted to find the right way to make it influential, to make it something that would stick in people's minds and also motivate them to change these things and to make their products more appealing to a wider audience. So as we were brainstorming, we came up with the idea, well, let's do an award, because everyone loves to be praised for the good things they're doing, but also award is a good tool to say, okay, you're doing great things here, but also if you, if you brush up this side of the product you're offering, it could be even better. And when it comes from a positive um, direction, I guess people are more keen to listen to that. So it was also the COVID times, and people, especially the travel industry, was very damaged, very, you know, the the future was kind of, people didn't know what's going to happen, and everyone was kind of down. It was really stopped. So we felt like, okay, let's do something positive that's really going to push things forward. And we were, we were like, okay, how about like Japan Travel Awards? And then we just checked the domain, and we didn't think it's going to be available, but it was available. So we just like went, okay, let's just buy it, and we bought it. And then we were like, okay, we have to really shape this thing. um so idea about the awards, just really, that's how it started. And we just wanted to say, by showcasing really good examples of how different destinations across Japan are doing different things, we thought that this could kind of motivate the entire industry to see different things from different perspectives.
It's so wonderful to focus on the positive, and I put that as the title for this talk because I love being a part of Japan Travel Awards. I love having that positive view, and of course there are experts, and newspaper is full of the problems, the negative,
Hmm.
but there's not enough people highlighting what's already great, right?
Hmm. Exactly.
Then exactly what you said, by highlighting what's great, getting people interested in joining, and then slowly you can make changes. This would be better, or suggestions, but already coming from a place of support instead of cutting people down, right?
Exactly, exactly. Because I think people, everyone is doing, their best on a different level. And I think um it's easy to criticize, and it's easy to say like, oh, you're missing this, you're missing that. But when you say like, oh, hey, you're doing a great job here, let's try this as well. So that's why a very important part of the Japan Travel Awards is that we actually provide feedback to all the finalists who didn't make it until the end and who didn't win an award, and we say, this is why, this is what was missing, and this is what all the judges had to say, and that's how they suggest you improve your service. And a lot of the times they're like, oh, we really didn't think about that, but we're so glad you're telling us. And they implement those changes, and some of them try again and they win. Or they may not, but the important thing is that it's a chance for them to really consider how people see their service, and just think of some issues that they may have not actually realized until now.
And from doing a awards ceremony, doing an award contest, and then you send people out to go and check it in person, and then write the reports, and then the judges are able to analyze and give you feedback and make the awards. There's a lot of costs involved. Do you charge anything for people to enter? How does that work?
No. In the first 2 years when the project was still, shaping up, and we we would ask the finalists to cover just the transportation expenses, but then we realized that that creates difference between, say people like in Hokkaido or people in Okinawa. The transportation costs are completely different. We decided to make it completely free for anyone to enter. Um, from the third year on, because that creates a chance for small businesses and businesses that are very remotely located to enter as well. So what is happening is basically we are covering our own expenses to go there. We don't charge anything for the screening fee. We don't charge anything for the transportation. Um, uh, which means that we have to really work hard on different projects to cover that. And the next step is to find sponsors who really believe in this and are eager to help us cover those expenses. But we're thinking to keep the awards completely free, because that creates a really fair chance for anyone to enter and showcase their work.
And that's it's really an important part of the philosophy, right? Like your partner Saya was talking about, really focused on rural locations, small businesses, and you do get people wanting to enter who are like mass market international big businesses, but
Mhm.
you're saying, actually you guys are easy to do lot big PR, and right, we need to help these smaller places. Is that right?
Exactly, exactly, yes. And the whole idea is that basically, um, one of the initial issues we wanted to really address is that in Japan, the way regional promotion works is usually it's the places who can obtain governmental subsidies to pay for, promotion, to pay, because it costs a lot to publish articles in large media platforms, and just to run any campaigns. So it's usually the bigger places with bigger budgets that can actually afford that. But that creates one issue. First of all, we see the same content over and over again, and then we don't see the content that is really out there and really doing amazing things. But just because they don't have a platform to showcase their work, or the budget to reach out to different audiences, it just gets buried. So we wanted to tackle that, and first of all create a little bit more diversified content that reaches people overseas, and also just to show that that there are small businesses around Japan that are doing amazing things, and they also need a platform to show that and be proud of that. Because it's easy to say like, oh my god, yeah, like big hotels and big, regional governments are doing an amazing job, and it's easy to give up if you think you're so small in comparison to them. But we want to encourage and say like, it doesn't matter your scale of business, it just matters that you're doing something to address diversity and inclusion, something to welcome more people to your destination, and it doesn't matter how big or small you are, just as long as you're on the right track. Yeah, so that's why we keep it free and fair for everyone to enter.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's such a great service for the future of Japan travel for sure.
Mhm.
And the categories are really important, right? You want to go through the categories quickly here?
Right, so since the beginning of the Japan Travel Awards, we've had accessible travel, LGBTQ travel, sustainable travel, and inbound travel have been the very core category since the first year. And this is coming from our realization that these things were rarely spoken about when we were promoting as media, as writers, and um, these issues were rarely discussed. We had our readers reach out and say, "Hey, this place is amazing, but I'm in a wheelchair, or I'm traveling with a kid, or um, how are same-sex couples perceived in Japan, and especially in the countryside? Is it okay, to hold hands and stuff like that?" Or just people were wondering, and we realized that there is no much of a discussion about these things. So this we decided that okay, travel really needs to have these categories, and that's very important. So these are these four categories were the from the very beginning on, and then we added best family travel and best destination development as well. Um, After I think the second year, because also we realized, as I said earlier, that family travel is really not so diverse in Japan. It's not that easy to enjoy traveling with a kid and also enjoy it as a parent. Yeah, so these are the categories, and the main points when we judge each destination is really, as you can see here on your screen, it's all about how they are approaching diversity and inclusion, how basically how they are trying to make their service accessible to different groups of travelers in different ways. Is it a good travel content? First of all, is it fun for everyone? Is it welcoming to diverse groups of people? And is it sustainable? Because sustainability is really really important when we travel. Not only about the ecological side of it, but also like how it impacts the communities um, in this specific area.
Absolutely. You know, I'm passionate about that. And I appreciate being part of the team, the judging team, because it's so wonderful that from the start of your awards, that has been a foundation pillar. That
Yes,
that if you don't have that, that's a problem for getting the award, right?
yes, definitely, yes.
And the quality is really improving every year, and I think that is also thanks to all the efforts that you're doing with the awards, but also all the consulting, all of
Yes.
the PR, all of the marketing is also important, right?
Yes, and it's also, thanks to our lovely panel of judges, including you, JJ, we have so many fascinating people who are like really coming from different backgrounds and they work in different industries. And you, our judges, are really helping us narrow down and see what's a great about a certain destination. And you ask questions from very different in you know coming from different topics, like you're always about sustainable. Is this place really sustainable? Is it good for the community? And then Josh is like, oh, do they have a ramp? So we make sure that we have different people who are bringing all the difficult questions. And if at least like 80% of those questions are not a yes, then it means that the destination is still not award worthy and they have to brush up their services. So this really has helped improve how we see destinations and what we judge a destination to be a good one and award worthy. Thanks to all of you and your great insights.
Oh, it's wonderful to be a part of it and to see improvement. And I'm sure Josh and the other judges feel the same in their area. They're seeing improvements year on year. So it's showing that it's working, right? Amazing. So this was the fourth year. The first awards was 2022.
Yes,
You had 28 finalists, 30 prefectures, and 80 entries.
right.
And then 2023, you had 145 entries,
Mhm.
36 prefectures,
Yes.
28 kandochi. What's
Yes.
kandochi?
So kandochi is a play on word, because in Japan kankochi means it's a sightseeing destination, sightseeing spot. But we kind of change that and we say kandochi, and kando means to be really moved, touched by something. So we think that a really good travel content is a place that can really move you, and make you feel that it really stands out. So if you're touched by a destination and by a certain destination and how they welcome you and how they're trying to prepare for your visit, it means it's a great place. So we call it kandochi instead of kankochi.
I get it. That's great. And then 2024, you had 163 entries, 18 finalists, and 10 winners. And
Right.
then this year,
Mhm.
2025, 196 entries, 16 finalists, and 11 winners. Wow.
Right.
So it really is growing.
It
Amazing.
is growing, and at the same time, you can see that we have less finalists because the screening process has become much more difficult. We have more entries, but we're becoming more strict about all the judging criteria, and we really want to make sure that the people that get to the last stage are really really addressing different issues in their travel destination.
Let's talk about the award winners this year. On your website for Japan Travel Awards, you can see all the winners laid out. Let's start with the Grand Prix. What an amazing story they have. Kurabito Stay.
Right. So Kurabito Stay is is Japan's first sake brewery hotel. It's based in Saku in Nagano Prefecture. Um, and basically, what you can do there is you can go and experience working as a real sake brewer for a day or two. It depends on the program, and you go through all the processes. You wash the rice, you clean the rice, and you work together with real sake brewers, and they guide you around through each of the process. And then you also stay in an old renovated house, a 100-year-old house, which used to be the place where sake brewers coming from different prefectures during the sake making season were staying. And now it has been renovated into a hotel. And yeah, so you basically experience the life of a traditional sake brewer in the most authentic way. But what's really interesting is also there's so many fascinating things about this place. But the main thing is that it was founded by a woman who used to work, Marika Tazawa-san. She used to work at a big travel company a couple of years ago, and she experienced a couple of things that she wasn't really happy with, and made her think different um, issues. And one of it was that it was Japan is really very good in organizing mass tourism, right? We put people on buses and we send them to different destinations just for an hour. They buy souvenirs, they spend just maybe a couple of minutes, they eat like some regional food, and they get back on the bus and they go back home. So in her work of organizing these tours, she was really asking, like, what do people actually learn about this specific destination, and what was their experience like being so short. um, they haven't really experienced the place. They don't know much about this place. So she wanted to change that, and instead of having 100 people come to a single destination for an hour, she wanted to have one person come for 100 hours. That's what she was saying. uh, and Sako is also her hometown, and she wanted to go back and really work hard to bring people there, and to show different people that the place is really great. And also she experienced something really difficult as a mother when she became a mother, and she said that she's pregnant and she's going to be a mom. She was instantly removed from all her duties in her past company, and she was just forced to do like things that were not really motivating her as a professional. She was, I think, asked to wash glasses and that kind of things. So in her business, when she started Kurabito Stay, she really wanted to also encourage women to work. So Kurabito Stay only employs women from the region, and they can work only on weekends. So it only functions on weekends. Um, but that helps them, work for a couple of hours when they're available, or if they want to work the whole day, they can work the whole day. If they want to work 1 hour, they can work 1 hour. But she really wants to tackle this issue that women can choose also how they want to work. And she created this business model that really helps women to shine and be confident and be motivated through their work. So that was one of the highlights.
Amazing.
um,
And what we're showing is the video that you created for them
right,
and all of your social media, which really and very beautifully and concisely explains about the appeal of the place, right?
right,
But also all of these, it highlights all of these important points about diversity and inclusion, focus on women. It tells their story in a way that I think a lot of these places find very difficult to do in English or
right.
to the inbound market. And
Mm,
that's what you can really offer them as
yeah,
part of the Japan Travel Awards, right?
I think so, yes, because the story is really important, especially when it comes to small businesses. They started with a certain problem or idea or something they really wanted to tackle and really change. And even though it's a small beginning, it leads to bigger changes, and you have to tell this story to people in order to really feel the passion of the place. It's not just a travel destination that you go to and have fun, but it has a solid story. And the more we hear about these stories and the more we share about these stories, I think it really helps understand how travel is created in Japan and all the back issues that leading to this creation of travel destination.
Absolutely. And it also feeds into that idea that it's not just about the visitor
Mhm.
only, it's about the
Exactly.
local people. You have to have that balance. You have to build community
Right.
with offering tourism. And I think that's often lost with the
Mhm.
idea of just catering to the numbers. That's all that
Right.
matters. The numbers are important. But what you realize, what you're focusing on quality and rural destinations and smaller businesses, no, it's about people, and without taking care of the people, you do not have value in tourism, right?
Exactly. Exactly. We believe so.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's continue with the winners.
Right.
So they were the grand winners, and that was so amazing to see her receive the award, and then it's so emotional, and it comes from such a personal story too. It was wonderful.
And then we have the winner of the best accessible travel is a place called Wildwater in Shiga Prefecture. Shiga is where Japan's largest lake, Biwa Lake, is located. And this place, Wildwater, was created a couple of years ago by a person called Kano-san, Mr. Kano. So he used to be a firefighter for like 20 something years. And then, of course, because of his work, he's trained in rescuing people, and he's seen a lot during his work. And he has two kids, and he loved going to Biwa Lake for fishing. But like when he was just watching his kids play on the lake, he was thinking like, what if something happens and they're in a wheelchair and they cannot really play like this anymore? And he thought that as a firefighter, he can help them still play and still enjoy life, even if they can no longer they're not physically fully capable of playing like that. But he said like he can do that for his own kids, but are there enough options for people who cannot do that, who are not trained in doing that? And he thought that no, there are no really accessible tour operators who do that. So he decided to start his own, and he founded Wildwater, which offers accessible canoe tours or accessible fishing. And you can see here, that's how the wheelchair goes on a sub stand-up paddle. And that's the boat where he has developed his own equipment, a harness that pulls up people in wheelchair and put like this and puts them on a boat. The boat then carries them into the lake, and from then on, the same equipment is used to help them board the stand-up paddle or the canoe or whatever they want to
It's
experience.
such a great idea, and it really gives you a strong feeling that, oh wow, when people say you can't do something because it costs too much, he just found a way to make it work, like on a very limited budget, using pulleys, but it makes it accessible. So it just make it work. I love that concept.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And then we have the winner of the best LGBTQ travel this year was Ace Hotel in Kyoto. Ace Hotel is an international chain. It's the first Ace Hotel in Japan and in Asia. But what really stands out is I think a lot of hotels are starting to do, different campaigns for Pride Month in June. But it's very, very rare to see um, such campaigns, LGBTQ allies just running through the whole year. And Ace Hotel is a really pioneer in that. The GM, Shiho Ikeuchi-san, she's really involved and she's a great ally for the LGBTQ community. So basically, at Ace Hotel, there is pride is running all year. You have different campaigns. You can see rainbow flags here. Just diversity, this acceptance, this natural acceptance of diversity is really evident at the hotel. And they sponsor a lot of LGBTQ events in the community as well. Um, and it's just, you can feel it. It's different there. You can feel the acceptance and just the pride of being different and diverse, and it's just everywhere in this hotel.
It's
So
amazing to just feel like it's including everybody. It's
yes,
inclusive instead of exclusive.
that,
And I
mhm,
walked by, I just happened to walk by the other day in Kyoto and I was like, what a beautiful hotel.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, this is the Ace Hotel.
yeah.
And so I know about it from the Japan Travel Awards, but I just saw it. So it's
Mhm.
beautiful as well. They said they have a screening room.
They do.
So they like to show from filmmakers who are focused on LGBT plus issues, but it's
Right.
also focused on art and creativity
Exactly.
and
Hmm.
just supporting local artists and stuff. So it's wonderful.
Exactly. Yes. Hmm. And then the winner of the best sustainable travel was II. It's an indigo dye studio in Awaji in Hyogo Prefecture. It's run by Sally and Junichi, a couple from the UK and Japan. And what's amazing about them is that they grow their own indigo, and they run workshops to really teach about how indigo is made from the very initial stages, and they do it entirely in English as well. It's very educational, very fun. They're really very strong about upcycling. You can bring your own clothes, you can send them your own clothes, and just find new ways to wear old clothes instead of throwing and buying, easily throwing and buying new things. So it's a really really great place to see. It's also accessible, it's very spacious studio. You can get in a wheelchair there. It was wonderful. It was just such a fun experience. They're so lovely. But this element of really thinking about slow fashion and thinking about waste in the fashion industry, it was just really great. And I'm just like sorting out my clothes right now. I want to buy I send them so many clothes, and find a new way to wear them.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's also wonderful to see international residents who are so embedded and committed to Japanese community and culture and being a part of that rural community.
Mhm.
Their kids are keeping the schools alive. Their organic farm is protecting the environment and helping local people. So
Right.
there is so many wonderful
Mhm.
sustainable destination, but also business models there. They're also artists
Right.
themselves
Yeah.
and love working with indigo, so they have that passion, right?
Very beautiful. All their stuff are so beautiful. It's hard not to buy everything from their stores.
Yeah. And then interesting, the kendo experience, he also said he uses natural indigo dye
Exactly. Yes.
for their
Mhm.
uniforms, right?
Yes. So the winner of the best inbound travel was Samurai Trip Kendo Experience Tour. They What they do is they offer kendo tours to overseas travelers. They do it entirely in English. And one of the things we see with the inbound market in Japan is that oftentimes it's very superficial. It's kind of like, oh, here is ninja, here is geisha, these kind of very just the top of the surface experiences are very common in Japan. But this one really stood out because it it really it's such an immersive experience, and it's not just created just for inbound travelers. It's really kendo, and you practice with real kendo masters, and it feels like you're actually studying the craft, even if it's just a 1 hour experience. And it was extremely immersive, very educational, pretty smart as well. It's not an easy experience. But also another thing that really stood out in their application is because the craftsmen who make the kendo ware, it's a dying industry in Japan. A lot of the kendo ware nowadays comes from overseas, and the craftsmen who create this are really, they don't have enough funds to keep their craft. alive. So partial proceeds of these tours go to these craftsmen to continue making the masks. And also, yeah, as you mentioned, the wear is also made with indigo as well, which is very costly.
Yeah,
So he's
and
trying to
a lot of indigo in Japan. I talked to big indigo dye companies, and they're actually importing indigo
exactly.
from other countries. So if they're doing it with made in Japan indigo, that's also protecting kind of a dying part of the art and trade, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Wonderful. And then best family travel and best destination development.
Right. So, Best Family Travel is a farm in Mie Prefecture, Iganosato Mokumoku Tezuguri Farm. So, this place is really, as I mentioned, a place, one of the rare places where both the parents and the kids can really enjoy. It's a place that really teaches you about how food is made and oh, like just the farmers' work, and also like how animals are really working so hard to keep us humans alive, basically. Kids get to experience milking the cows, feeding the cows, um, and it's a very hands-on farm that really teaches you of the importance of um, how farm work is really done. Our kid, like he was really, he always like didn't drink his milk, but after going to Mokumoku, he was like, oh, the cows are going through so much to make a cup of milk, so he's never thrown milk after that. So it's that kind of like fun, educational, um it's really enjoyable. And they also have cottages. They do it because they want to get people to stay for the morning work, and it starts very early, as all farms do. So they have kids friendly cottages, which are, with like created cute designs, like strawberries and all this kind of, it's very beautiful. um
And then Hako House
Hako
had
House.
it's a great example of how a place had applied before,
Right.
needed to make some improvements, and they came back and they won a prize. So
Exactly.
really congratulations to them.
Yes, Hako House was a finalist last year. Unfortunately, they didn't win. They were very close to winning, but they didn't win because they had a couple of issues that we found, that they were still not there. And we sent them a feedback, and they really used that feedback as almost like a textbook, and they improved each point. They added English to their website. They made their tours more interactive, and they reapplied, and it was really good content. So this year we were unanimous that they deserve to win. Hako House is a place that tries to promote Nagaoka, Niigata, through its culture of fermented food. It's one of the places that is really famous for miso, rice, soy sauce, um, and it's really trying to revive. It's an accommodation that comes with a private restaurant, where you can experience all these foods, and you can learn about the farmers and all these local producers as well. It's
That's
it's a very well connected
Yeah,
community.
yeah, the fermentation, such a key part of so many parts of Japanese culture, right? And
Right.
then, he's really helping the community by growing more food, bringing people,
Exactly.
bringing new residents as well. Just very quickly, let's touch on some of the special
Yes.
recognition awards. Go ahead.
Temple Stay Zenso is a temple accommodation in Gunma Prefecture. It's the first accommodation in Chiyoda City. It's where you can stay at a temple and experience all the cultural, traditional aspects of Buddhism as well. But it's also a very good balance of being also very modern and accommodating. You can bring your pet there even. And it's a really great place to experience both the cultural, and the monk who runs it is in his early 30s. He has two faces. He's like very down to earth. You can talk to him and have a beer maybe, but at the same time he guides you through, sutra writing and all these kind of things. So it was a really great balance of cultural and contemporary. Treeful Tree House is a tree house, Japan's first tree house resort in Okinawa. It's deep in the jungle of Okinawa, Yambaru in Okinawa, and it's a beautiful, beautiful, sustainably created resort. It's real houses on trees, It's such a magical experience, something that you cannot experience anywhere else. It's very sustainably focused, um, and yeah, it's just such a unique destination. Sorry, the next one is best social impact. Social impact went to Ume Yamazoe, which is in Nara Prefecture. It's a small inn, renovated inn from an old house. What they do is that they invite I think 12 families with who have a member with some physical disabilities or intellectual disabilities to come and stay for free during the year, because they believe that families who live with a member who cannot really travel so much, they don't really think about traveling. They don't have that as an option, but they want to provide this option, and they're not just doing that in their own inn. They're trying to influence other inns as well to adopt this project, which is called Hajimari Project. So it's really spreading and creating, making this idea that people with physical disabilities and emotional, intellectual disabilities really want to travel like we do. So we need to create a platform for that. And the best accommodation went to Hakone Hombako, which is a place in Hakone. It's a library and a hotel. It comes with 12,000 books you can read, you can buy them. It's just about silence and just being with you and your own book for just a couple of hours away from everything. It's a wonderful destination. Yes.
Yay, fantastic. Thank you for
Sorry.
explaining all of them so well.
Knowing all the backstories, I can probably talk for like another 12 hours.
But
So,
that leads us to how you're actually producing a book, which is
right,
coming out next month.
right.
Tell us about it.
So we are finally creating a platform to put all these places together. So we are publishing a book called 70 Remarkable Japanese Places very soon. We're at the very last stage of editing. So this book is really about all the places that we visited during the first 3 years of the Japan Travel Awards. You will see all the winners, the finalists, and some places that didn't really make it to, didn't win an award, but still grabbed our hearts and made something that we believe is memorable and worth talking to. Just presenting it to people overseas. So this is a bilingual book. It's in English and Japanese, and we will sell it overseas, and hoping that people will discover locations that are not really featured in most travel guidebooks. You will see a lot of small businesses, a lot of locations that you've never probably heard anywhere else. um, but these locations have like something that really makes them stand out, and they're all extremely welcoming and looking forward to welcoming people from everywhere in the world. These
And
places are
what a
accessible.
huge project, right? Bilingual, using beautiful photos and stories and designs that you and your team know so well after doing the Japan Travel Awards.
Right.
But it becomes kind of a guidebook
Hmm.
for places trying to get started and what kind of ideas, what kind of strategies they can use, as well as being a beautiful coffee table book, right?
Right. Yes. It's a beautiful book. I'm really proud of it. I hope people will really buy it. Our designer has done a great job, and I think the difference is that we really traveled to all these places. We took off the photos ourselves, and we in the text, it's really we've tried to um, really show that backstory that each place has. It talks a lot about how they came to be and their backstory, and I think this is really important. So, yeah, I hope people will really find it interesting.
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing a copy. Is it gonna be available in Japan as well at bookstores?
Yeah, so we're self-publishing this one, so we will sell it through our website and also probably start a Kickstarter as well to reach people overseas as well. But also planning to also talk with small boutique bookstores around the world. So it's a work in progress, but hopefully
It's
it will.
amazing that it's almost here, though.
Mhm.
Well done.
Yes.
One final thing that I wanted to touch on was
Right.
your work at the expo, Japan
Mhm.
Travel Expo,
Right.
last year. And might we see you guys again at the Osaka Expo or another future expo?
We hope so, yes. Last year we participated in the Tokyo Tourism Expo. It was such a great experience. Our designers did a fascinating job in putting that whole booth together in such a short time. Yeah, a lot of people came. We were so surprised, but I think it was really a great opportunity to showcase what the Japan Travel Awards is. People were getting involved and hearing, voting even for the for the best place to win. Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. Hopefully we'll see you in Osaka as well.
That's so good. And on your social media, so it's nice to see that at the event you were getting people to vote for their favorites, talking about all the important pillars, accessibility,
Yes,
sustainability. So all those people as well have a much better idea of what is a better future travel, which I love.
I think so. Yes. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I will put all the links below in the show notes so people can see all your beautiful work on social media and your website. Thank you so much, Ali, for all you do and for joining today.
Thank you, JJ. It was so wonderful to speak to you, and thanks so much for everyone who logged in today. Thank you.
And if you missed us live, thank you so much for joining us live. But if you missed us live watching it on replay, make sure you add your comments and questions below. And of course, Ali and I will get back to you. Thank you so much for
Well,
watching.
thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye.